Each offseason, we review thousands of plays. We consult with medical personnel, general managers, coaches, legends, officials, and the Players Association to determine ways to improve the game and to protect you from unnecessary risk. As a priority, we listen to your concerns and suggestions about how to make the game better. For example, you the players, Hall of Famers, legends, and coaches work together to provide clarity on the catch rule, control of the ball, 2 feet or another body part down, and a football move. There was a particular emphasis placed on player protection, resulting in rule changes and points of emphasis designed to reduce risk and prevent injury. We have taken steps to further protect runners who give themselves up and to protect the quarterback immediately after the ball is thrown. In addition, a new rule on use of the helmet was adopted, making it a foul to lower your head to initiate and make contact with your helmet against an opponent. To assist you in carrying out the mission of your team, we have developed this video explaining the rule changes and the points of emphasis for the 2018 season.
The rule changes we are about to review were made after much consultation and discussion beginning in February after the Super Bowl. During this process, a key focus is whether a rule can be officiated, coached, and played. Please pay close attention as we cover the changes and points of emphasis for this upcoming season.
There are several rules changes this season. The most significant is about the use of the helmet. It is a foul if a player lowers his head to initiate and make contact with his helmet against an opponent. The officiating standards for the use of the helmet fouls are lowering the head, but not including bracing for contact, initiating contact with the helmet to any part of an opponent. Contact does not have to be to an opponent's head or neck area. Lowering the head and initiating contact to an opponent's torso, hips, or lower body is also a foul. This rule is not limited to defenseless players. It is all-inclusive and pertains to all players on the field. Here are examples where use of the helmet fouls were not called last season, but will be flagged this season. In addition, players can be ejected for use of the helmet fouls. The standards for ejection are a player lowering his helmet to establish a linear body posture prior to initiating and making contact with the helmet. A player delivering the blow with an unobstructed path to his opponent. Illegal helmet contact when it is clearly avoidable and the player delivering the blow has other options. All ejections will be reviewed by the Art McNally Game Day Central Officiating Room in New York. Here are examples of plays when a player would be ejected. Another significant rule change is the simplification of the catch rule. There are 3 requirements to completing the process of a catch. Control of the ball, 2 feet or another body part down, a football move such as a third step, reaching or extending in order to gain more yardage, or the ability to perform such an act. No longer must a player maintain control of the ball upon contact with the ground. If these 3 elements are met prior to losing control, it is a catch. Effective this year, if a player loses control of the ball, it is an incomplete pass if the ball hits the ground before he regains control, or if he regains control out of bounds. It is important to remember that a receiver is considered a player in a defenseless posture throughout the entire process of the catch, and until the player is capable of avoiding or warding off the impending contact of an opponent. There are other rules changes for 2018. Illegally batting or punching the ball is now a 10-yard penalty and a loss of down. The spot of the next snap after a touchback resulting from a free kick to the 25-yard line was made permanent. The team that scores a touchdown at the end of regulation of a game no longer is required to kick the extra point or go for a 2-point conversion if it would not affect the outcome of the game. In overtime, if the team that possesses the ball first scores a field goal, the team that has second possession can still win if they lose possession of the ball and subsequently recover it during the same down and score without fouling during that down. Besides these rules changes, there are several points of emphasis for 2018. Illegal contact will be more strictly enforced this season. The rule states that beyond 5 yards, a defender cannot initiate contact with a receiver who is attempting to evade him, and that a defender may use his hands or arms only to defend or protect himself against impending contact by a receiver. Both defensive and offensive pass interference will also be strictly enforced. Actions that will result in penalties include contact that restricts the opponent's opportunity to make the catch, playing through the back of an opponent, grabbing an opponent's arm, extending an arm across the body of an opponent and impeding his progress, cutting off the path of an opponent by making contact, hooking and or turning an opponent, and shoving or pushing off to create separation. Gunners going out of bounds will be scrutinized this year. Gunners must demonstrate an immediate effort to take an angle to return in bounds once they are in the white border. They cannot use the sidelines as a clear pathway to run downfield. Many other points of emphasis are geared toward increased player safety, including protection of runners who give themselves up. If a runner, including a quarterback, gives himself up, then he is down where the first body part other than a hand or foot touches the ground, and defenders do not have to initiate contact thereafter. This is true regardless of whether the runner dives head first or slides feet first. The runner's direction does not matter. Quarterbacks must give themselves up early. If a defender has committed to a tackle prior to the quarterback giving himself up, contact may occur as long as the contact is not late and/or it is not deemed as forcible to the neck or head area. A quarterback does not have to slide feet first in giving himself up. Whether head or feet first in giving up, he will receive the protections as a defenseless player. To further protect quarterbacks, when tackling a passer who is in a defenseless posture, the defender may not land on top of him with all or most of his body weight. Snappers on PATs and field goals also receive protection. It is a foul if a player initiates unnecessary contact to the head or neck area of the snapper. Officials will use their whistle more so players can avoid unnecessary contact. The whistle will be blown when a runner's forward progress has been stopped, and this signals that additional contact is prohibited. Unnecessary and forcible contact to an opponent after a whistle has been blown will result in an unnecessary roughness penalty.
Now let's review the process for game-related violations resulting in discipline. In accordance with the collective bargaining agreement between the NFL and the NFLPA, NFL Vice President of Policy and Rules Administration, Jon Runyan, a 14-year NFL offensive lineman, reviews game video and makes the initial decision on player discipline for on-field safety-related rules violations. Discipline can be a warning, a fine, or a suspension. If a violation is determined, Jon notifies the player in writing with a description of the violation and the discipline. Players have 3 days to appeal. As specified in the CBA, appeals are heard by officers jointly appointed and compensated by the NFL and the NFLPA. Pro Football Hall of Fame linebacker Derrick Brooks.
Picked off, Derrick Brooks to the 50, to the 20, to the 30. Derrick Brooks, he could go, he might go, he will go, all the way. Touchdown, Tampa Bay.
And former wide receiver James Thrash. Their decisions are final and binding.
Catching the ball is Thrash, in for a touchdown.
The fine schedule is approved by the NFLPA prior to training camp and is communicated to you in your player policies manual. Money collected from player fines is donated to the NFL Foundation to programs that assist former players, such as the NFL Player Care Foundation and the NFL's PA Players Assistant Trust. As you transition to this new season, we ask that you remember respect, resiliency, integrity, and responsibility to team. These are the values that we all share as we experience being part of the National Football League. We're here to assist you if you have any questions. We wish you the very best in the 2018 season.